On this episode, I'm back. This real estate stuff is not easy, so send me your questions and I will answer them. This is the Ask Jason Show. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Piercey, and this is episode... Who cares? This is the comeback episode of the Ask Jason Show. Oh my goodness. This feels bizarre, but like weirdly familiar, and I have missed it so freaking much. It's so funny. Joe made such a good point. My phone was buzzing as we were getting ready to record, and he said, so I don't think that you should, like, I know sometimes you like touch your phone or whatever, you get a notification and you look at it, if it rings you might answer it and make a joke because it's your mom or whatever. I don't think you should for this accident. Wow. That's called a Freudian slip. That's a very real psychological phenomenon. Oh, I'm nervous. I actually feel nervous. Holy cow. He said, I don't think that you should be on your phone for this episode because sometimes when you do, you pick it up and it distracts you and you forget what you were saying. And then he said, and you don't come back the same. And I think that could not have been a more perfect way to trigger me into a little bit of comedy and relaxation prior to filming the first episode of Ask Jason since the incident. So, what was the incident? Little over 8 months ago, I found myself in a state of slight disrepair. I was riding my bike, my motorcycle, from an appointment on my way to the Newfoundland Embassy to get a bowl of soup for supper. And somebody in an SUV threw a wrench into my plans. No. Threw an SUV into my plans and cut me off, and I went flying and I got hurt real bad. And ended up in the hospital and I had a coma and a bunch of stuff. And but I'm on the mend and I'm further along than most of the doctors told me I might ever be. And as you can imagine, that's something to be very grateful for, and it's also very humbling because what people say about how your life can change in an instant is very, very true. And every time anybody has ever said to me, no, man, you got to do the thing because life is short, I would always say, well, your life is actually the longest thing you will ever perceive. There is nothing to you that is longer than your own life. It is by definition impossible. You start here and end here. Now, I mean, perhaps there's things before and after. I mean, that is a whole nother conversation. But as far as we know, all of the things in your life happen in here. It is the longest thing. There is nothing longer than your life. How can your life be short? But man, it is. And it's super annoying probably to hear people say it, but there's a lot of truth behind the thing that, like, when you almost die, you get perspective and stuff changes. I find myself in situations a lot where somebody's saying something and I'm thinking to myself, I wish I could take like a little bit of perspective and just like let them know that this thing that's bothering them really doesn't need to bother them. But you also can't be the guy that starts every sentence with like, well, here's an example. We all got that like one friend who like after college, university or whatever, or before did like their gap year and they spent a winter in Australia because it's summer down there. That's how that works and the toilets go the other way. Anyway, and now every sentence that they say starts with, when I lived in Australia, like, yeah, Ashley, we know you were in Australia 20 years ago. You can stop saying it. So I feel a lot like that person because every time somebody complains about something, there's a little bit of me that's like, yeah, well, when I almost died, I learned that your problems don't matter. And it's not kind, but it is true. It's very true. So got banged up pretty bad. I broke my neck twice. So right up by my brain, C1 and C3. So those vertebrae got sort of like split open. And I had a massive amount of internal bleeding. I lost my spleen. That thing was just in pieces. I lost like 70-ish, 70 something % of my blood before I got to the hospital. That's a lot of blood. I lost 5 pint glasses of blood. Just think about how gross that is. So I lost that. My pelvis got banged up pretty bad. So your pelvis sort of looks kind of like this. You got like the ears and the part that goes around here, and like your genitals are probably like here. Okay? So this is what it looks like. Mine broke and went like this. So that's like a big deal. So they had to put that together. So now I've got like 8-inch bolts keeping me together. There's no section of bone from here to here that isn't also covered in titanium. So all of that happened, and I also broke my leg, and we didn't even know my leg was broken. We didn't find out my leg was broken until after I stood up for the first time several months later. I was like, my leg don't feel right. So they went and they looked at it, and they were like, oh yeah, that's because it's broke. But I guess, yeah, I don't have anything to complain about, really. Like at this point, not a scratch on my face. Not a big deal at all. And that's kind of everything. So it took a long time to get all that back together. And here we are, sort of. So now I'm coming around. And I'm having a hard time with this part because I don't want to make this all like dramatic and like sad and stuff, but there is a significant amount of like gratitude and humility and like love and support and stuff that I have felt because of everything that the community has done for me and for my little girl, and just so that everything would be okay. I don't have enough words to talk about how much I love the community that we live in. It makes me cry. So when I'm having a bad day, sometimes I could just get overwhelmed with emotion. And I've still got like probably hundreds of messages that I haven't even gotten to read, just supportive things. And because I want to read them all, it's just as soon as I read them, now I need to respond, and I don't have the energy to keep up with all of those conversations. So I'm overwhelmed with all of this gratitude and all this love and all this support. And I don't want to cry on the Ask Jason show. However, I am allergic to Ray, so I could blame watery eyes and sniffing on that. So we'll see how the rest of it goes. But anyway, that's an update. But it sort of changes a little bit. Remember I said it switches your perspective and the things that are important to you and realizing what matters and what don't? I can recall lying in the hospital bed, and I couldn't really sleep. So I was trying to get my head around what would happen if I couldn't walk. My pelvis hadn't healed to the point where we would know what kind of mobility or strength I'd be able to regain. And I lost 50 pounds of just muscle wasting, just from like not being able to even sit up. I'm just lying in bed. So like I started to look like Joe. It was just like back, leg. No ass, none. Just like back, leg. He's laughing a lot because he knows that's exactly how he looks. I'm sorry, buddy. I love you to pieces, though. So I'm lying there, and I'm literally not knowing whether or not I'm gonna walk. I figured, yeah, okay, I'll be able to walk, but like, how well? And will I always have a cane or a crutch? Or am I gonna need a walker? Or like, you know, how am I gonna show houses? Like, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? And I spent a lot of time thinking about that. If you run into me sometimes, you don't have to be weird about it. Like, one of my favorite jokes, my mother and my father, oh my God, they're the best people in the world. Holy cow. I've always loved them, but now I realize that like, I love them because they were good parents. Now I love them because they're good people. They're just like such wonderful human beings. Dad said to me, this was just yesterday. They were at my house because they flew to Alberta. And I can't remember what he was asking me for. And I said, yeah, it's out in the porch, hung up on the thing. And he said, well, can you go get it for me? And I was like, Dad. And he's like, yeah, you almost died. We're over it. And Joe's laughing because he's met Harold. And he knows that that's exactly what he would say. And I love that. because it's just like, that's what's funny. And I was giving my parents, because they lived with me for months while all this was going on. I was asleep in like a hospital bed in my living room. So like all of the gear got delivered to my living room, and I'm in the hospital bed in the living room, and my parents are like, they're like mid-60s, and they've been married since mom was 19. They must love each other very much, but they also must drive each other freaking nuts after that. Like 40 plus years together. Like, that's a long time. So they're just bickering over something, and it's a nothing thing. It's very nothing. So I just said, guys, like, there's not necessary to bicker here. When mom said this, what she really meant was this. It's just because of her personality and her love language and the way she talks, she was trying to send this message. But Dad, when you received the message, this is what you heard. So you responded as though she said this, and that triggered her because it's not what she said, and she didn't feel heard or seen or appreciated. And then you got your back up because you didn't, and blah, 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 blah. And mom just goes, oh, we wouldn't have to listen to this if you were still in the coma. And those types of jokes, they set my heart on fire. If you feel like I'm being irreverent because of the severity of what happened and how much the city and the community responded, and that I'm laughing about it or making a joke about it, so I'm disrespecting the amount of gratitude or the amount of work that was done for me and the amount of pain that other people felt and concern and love and support and money that was sent my way, then I really don't want you to feel that way, because you have no idea how many hours I spent laying in bed crying over whether or not I was worthy enough to deserve the love and support that was sent to me. So if I'm laughing it off now, that's because you're like 5 minutes into this conversation, and I'm 8 months into this conversation, and I'm done with being sad about it. So I've been there and I've felt it, and I'm not disrespecting it. It will forever change me for the rest of my life. But I'm done being sad about it. So now I'm going to make jokes. And now I'm, right? So anyway, that's that. So I guess that gives us an opportunity to talk about what we're going to do moving forward. So here's the plan. I love being in real estate. I love all of the branding stuff that we do together, like with Joe. I love Ask Jason. I love all of the cool video walkthroughs that we always did. Like, they were always so fun. And they were always like, they worked. And they sold houses, and we would rhyme our way through a house, or we would make a movie trailer, or we would make like a early 90s sitcom opening theme music video to sell a house, or a million other things. And they were amazing, and we loved doing it. And those are things that I love to do. I can still do all of that stuff. Some of the stuff that's hard for me is if you're relocating from British Columbia and you're in town for a weekend and want to see 30 houses, any chance none of them got stairs? So like, I can do it. I just don't have the same, my body's at like 65%. But from here up, I'm like at, I don't know, I'm pushing mid 90s. Like I'm getting there. And most of the post-concussion stuff is gone. I still find myself struggling to connect the dots and find words sometimes. And they're not difficult words. They're like really easy words. Like I can't remember like what a kettle is. I'll be like, can you we should put the water to the, make water hot, and I can't find the word kettle. It's not a hard word. It's just like I can't connect it. So that stuff happens. But other than that, I'm in for all of the stuff that I'm not going to say you need me for, but all of the stuff that is the specific value that my brain in conjunction with Joe's and his skill set and mine can provide. And also all of the nitty gritty real estate stuff when it comes to how to properly price something, how to negotiate, how to win your multiple offer situation. I realized that like, hey, that's the move. I'll do all of the marketing. I'll do all of the branding. I'll generate all of the business, and I'll do more and more of this stuff, and I'll do more of the more of like the marketing related stuff for the real estate. So I'm just always all in on servicing the clients and making their deals happen. And then my brain is full in on all of the real estate data, all of the negotiating, all of the contract stuff, all of reverse engineering, all of the success for all of the clients. And I'll have hand-picked, and I'm not just saying like random people. I've been thinking about this for a while because, you know, when you're lying on the beach in Australia for months at a time and you can't get up, you think about a lot of stuff. So I feel like I kind of got this figured out, and I'm happy about it. So behind the scenes, in the dark, for the last like 4 to 6 months, I've been assembling something. I have hand-picked, recruited, indoctrinated, and groomed a small group of realtors who aren't bringing bad habits because they're brand new. Like from the point where they study, where they learn, they become the thing, and they're doing deals now, and I'm in all of the deals all of the time. But, you know, one of them is a rower, so her arms work better than mine. The other one bikes, like is a cyclist and runs marathons. So his legs, I mean, they're not, I got great legs. Like I still, like the muscles coming back, like you should see my calves. But Mark's work better. So these people can do these things, and we collaborate on everything. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So we're gonna have a team, and that's the moving forward. I don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. Somebody told me I should just call it Jason's team, because it's really casual and very colloquial, sort of on brand, that like we're not fancy or like, I like Ask Jason. So the idea of it just being Jason's team, all the signs can just say like, Ask Jason's team about this house. And I like the idea that it's just sort of like relaxed. And I feel like it fits what we do. And it's different. And it's kind of daring, if you will. So anyway, that's the plan moving forward. There's still work to be done. For the very first time ever, this has never happened on the Ask Jason show before. And I said I would never ever do it. But when I almost died, I learned that sometimes things aren't what you think they are, and it's okay to change your mind. So I'm changing my mind. This is the first time I've ever done this on the Ask Jason show, and I reserve the right to do it again. But after years and years of making this, I think it's finally time. Does anybody need a realtor? So I'm asking for business that myself and my newly formed team can elitely service you with a level of expertise in marketing that has, up to this point, never been seen in our local market before. And that's the move. We're just gonna be our brand, whatever that turns into, and I'm excited for it. And I got people who can run and roll with the best of them, and they're hand chosen because of how smart and how capable and how driven they are. And perhaps the most important thing, I hire human beings and train human beings, because you can teach somebody product knowledge or how to do a thing. It's really hard to teach somebody to be innately kind. So you hire people and you train tasks. And that's what we've been doing. So that's it moving forward. Anybody want to buy or sell a house? Thank you for watching The Comeback. And I love you. And I'm putting on a brave face because parts of this were hard for me. And I didn't cry. And I'm proud. And let's do some bidding ass. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.
The Ask Jason Show exists so that you can get good real estate related information from a resource that you can trust. Now, speaking of resources you can trust, here's a couple I would trust to work with my mom. Because good enough for mom, I mean, good enough for you.
What? This? What about it? Turn it? There's no K? Are we going to put a K on it? We're going to put a K on it. Are you still recording?
Yes.
We're going to put a K on it because I'm okay. See, now that Joe's gone upstairs, I'm going to look at my phone because he told me earlier not to look at my phone because it might change me. Oh, hey, you're back. I told them that you wanted to go put a K on it because I'm okay.
Now you know.
Ask Jason? Ask Jason. The K and an O because I'm okay. This charms the seafoam pants off me.